know, my name is Sam Pierce from Swap Books, and since I became a self-publishing consultant back in 2015, I've had the pleasure of working with lots and lots of different authors. I've been involved in the design and publishing of over 60 titles now. And during that time, it's given me the opportunity to talk to these authors about what the real reason is as to why they decided they wanted to publish. And I've heard lots and lots of different reasons. But the majority of people, they just have this goal that they want to be a published author. They want to publish a book simply because they want to do it. And it seems to be just, a goal in and of itself, something that they've always wanted to do, and it just ends up being a tick on a bucket list. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. However, if you are writing a book that you intend to use to support your business or to support you as a business owner, you're kind of missing a trick by just focusing on, I want to be published. So today I want to talk about some of the ways that you can use a book to help take both you and your business to the next level. So the first way that a book can really help your business is the obvious one, passive income. We've got a couple of financial advisors in the room. Any independent financial advisors, business coaches, bank managers, things like that, they're all going to recommend that you diversify your income as much as possible as a way of protecting yourself from the ups and downs of just the general economy. I mean, we've got Brexit officially happening in, 10 days? Nobody knows what's going to happen after that. The more you can diversify different areas as to where your income comes in from, the easier that you're going to find it to ride out those periods of uncertainty. And a book is a really, really great way to do that, because once you've done all of the hard work of writing it, publishing it, and as long as you have some form of automated marketing strategy sitting behind that book can just sit there, generating you income month after month after month, and you don't have to do anything for it. So a really great example of how that can help is John Solmez. So this mammoth of a book was published back in 2017. John helps software developers, code writers, web designers, things like that in Silicon Valley to help them get the most out of their careers in what is effectively the best place for tech companies to be. And John has amazing marketing strategies sitting behind every single aspect of his business that are all fully automated once he puts them in motion. And when he published this book, it was no different. He put the exact same strategies in place behind the book as he did behind his very, very successful business. As a result, in just the first year alone, John sold over 20,000 copies of this book. And it continues to sell to this day. This book pays for John's mortgage every year without him having to do anything else. Okay? Another way that a book can help is to help you. And that is to help raise your profile and set you apart as that go-to expert in your industry. We are all raised from a very young age with the belief that if you want a credible source of information, you go to books. All the way through school, high school, university, studying for law degrees and anything like that. You're always taught that if you need to research a subject, you go to books. Nowadays, that is starting to shift more to ebooks, online white papers and things like that, but the principle is still the same. If you have written a book, you are automatically seen as being an expert in that subject. After all, you wrote the book on it. There's a reason why that statement exists, because having a book just tells the world that you honestly know what you're talking about. An offshoot of that is that when you become the expert, you can start to raise your rates just that little bit, incrementally as you go on. Because people are willing to pay just that little bit more in order to work with the best. And a great example of that is the lovely Claire Brumby. Claire Brumby, before she wrote this book, was the founder of a health snack brand called Scrubby's Crisps. She was on Dragon's Den, and she had a very, very successful business. She published this book as a way of just telling her story of starting Scrubbies, the ups, the downs, the lessons that she learned. And her book was actually nominated for Business Book Awards last year. Since publishing this book, Claire's business has completely changed. She is now a international speaker and coach who helps other food brands on how to get big, how to get international, how to get into those big high street stores. And she can now charge consultancy rates to help these businesses. So her profile in the industry has completely turned around from successful business owner to coach, mentor, consultant, with all of the fees that go with it. The third way that a book can help your business is in just general lead generation. There are only so many places that we as individuals can go, but a book can go anywhere. If you have aspirations to expand into the States or Europe, or even if you just want to go just that little bit further than your local area, a book can go to those places without any effort. The way that self-publishing has developed over the years gives you the opportunity to publish a book credibly and properly across the world, whereas before that used to only be the remit of traditional publishing houses. But now your book can go absolutely anywhere. And as a result, because your book goes to all of these new places, you can start to attract new clients to you. And the caliber of client that a book can attract, by its very nature, ends up being just that slightly higher level, because they've already read your story. They already know a lot of the things about you and what you teach, and they already believe that what you have to say and what you have to teach has value. So the sales process is kind of half done for you. They're already convinced that they want to work with you. It then just becomes a conversation of, can we actually work together? Is there, personality match, or is there just, a bit of a conflict there? So they already come to you pre-sold. And somebody who has used that massively to their advantage is Paul Blanchard. So Paul runs a boutique PR and reputation management agency. Bit of a mouthful, but basically he makes sure that people look good in public. When he published this book, originally in 2017, we released a second edition of this book last year. He just had his offices in London. Now, unlike pretty much every author that I've ever worked with, Paul does not care in the slightest whether he sells a single copy of this book. Doesn't care at all. His purpose and his marketing strategy behind this book is that every single meeting that he takes, that lead or that potential prospect gets sent a physical copy of this book in the post. He doesn't ask them if they want one, doesn't tell them it's coming, it just turns up. And if any of you know anything about printing, this book is full color, so it's not exactly the cheapest book to produce, but he gives them away for free to every single person that he meets. As a result of that strategy, He is now working with household names that I guarantee everybody in this room has heard of. Unfortunately, I'm not allowed to divulge who those people are. But he now has offices not only here in London, but also in New York and Los Angeles as well, all on the back of just giving away his book as a way of proof to say, yes, I do actually know what I'm talking about. I can do what I say I can do. The fourth way that a book can help support your business is by doing what I'm doing right now, public speaking. Books are a really, really great way to get you in front of new audiences. You are, after all, the expert. So people want to hear what you have to say. And that can come in many different forms. That can either be a book tour or a book signing, going into bookstores and signing copies of your book. It can be more public PR type stuff, so interviews. I'm actually going to be on the radio tomorrow talking about self-publishing on Froome FM. It can get you into magazines, newspapers, things like that. And as a result of getting more public attention, you then again increase your credibility and your profile. So you see how these things start to become cyclical. They start feeding off of each other. And a really great example of that is Emma Heptonstall. So Emma is a divorce coach for high net worth women. Now, divorce is not really, one of those nice, socially accepted dinner table conversations. However, when Emma published this book back in 2017, luck would have it that a news story broke in the US with Gwyneth Paltrow coming out in public saying that her and her then husband were going to be divorcing, but they were going to be doing it amicably, which in Hollywood is just completely unheard of. And the media went nuts over this. As a result of publishing a book about how to divorce nicely, setting herself up as an expert in amicable divorce, Emma suddenly became the go-to person that all of the media wanted to hear about. As a result, she was featured in the Daily Mail, the Telegraph. She had interviews on BBC, Mary Curie magazine, Huffington Post, and iNews, all on the back of being an expert in something that the media wanted to know about. And again, that's set her up to be the go-to expert. The final way that a book can help you support your business is to help support the greater good. Now, I'm pretty sure that most people, if not everyone in this room, set up their business because they want to genuinely help people. But we are human beings. There are only so many hours in the day. There are only so many days in the week, which means that there are only so many people that we can effectively help one-to-one. We have limits on our time. As a result of that, it means, because we are also business owners, we then have to charge for that time, which means that there could very well be people that could genuinely do with our help who can't afford to work with us one-to-one. A book allows you to literally help thousands at any one time. For the cost of a book, anywhere between 10 to 15 pounds, you can generally start to give the support and advice and help to somebody that necessarily couldn't afford to work with you one-to-one. That may give them the opportunity to take those first couple of steps on their own so that they can then get to the level where they can afford to work with you one-to-one. So again, that then starts to feed into lead generation. You start to see how all of these things are connected. An example of that is Asmina Jiwa. So Asmina wrote this book as a means of supporting businesswomen to have the confidence to be able to be themselves in a business environment. So not only is she helping women who genuinely need help with their self-confidence, she also took the decision that the majority of her proceeds, she donated to a charity that helps clothe and feed children in Kenya, in her hometown. So not only is she helping women with a very worthy cause, she's also giving back to the community that helped her find her confidence as well. Now, when you start to put all of these things together, the effect starts to compound exponentially. And I'm going to show that with my own book. So, Stress-Free Self-Publishing, I published in May last year. Now, for passive income, I don't have the level of automated marketing that John Somnes does. However, I market my book at for networking events. I take it with me whenever I go to other speaking engagements, and I do talk about it on social media. The royalties from this book pays for my family's grocery bill every month. So it's just one thing that I don't have to worry about because my book takes care of that. Profile. So before then this book was published, my profile only extended to where I networked. So here in the South. Now I'm getting tagged in Facebook posts by people that I have never met before, tagging me in posts from people who I've also never met before, as the expert, as someone who can answer a particular question. That just didn't happen before this book was published. Client acquisition. When I published this book, I had 5 active projects on the go at that time. 2 months later, I had 16. Now, not all of them were a result of the book, but a lot of it was a result of the marketing that I did on the back of the book. So I can honestly say that this book tripled my business in 2 months. Speaking gigs. So when I launched my book, I did a 4-site tour. Stupidly, I decided to do 11 4-sites in 4 weeks. I was completely knackered. However, there was one person in one meeting who happened to be part of a coaching group for coaches and trainers. I was then approached to give a keynote speech at Trainer Talk Live, to speak for an hour in front of 100 coaches and trainers. That would not have happened without the book, 100%. And finally, to allow me to help other people, one of my beta readers, I chose very, very specifically because for months she had wanted to work with me, but just couldn't afford my one-to-one rates. And it was before I had my mentor program. So I asked her to be a beta reader for this book for that very reason, because this was who my book was intended to help. As a result, she published her book in October. So I know without any shadow of a doubt that my book is helping people that I could not help myself. So hopefully you can see that if used correctly, a book can generate remarkable return on investment. Unlike a lot of people in the publishing industry, I am actually going to back that up with concrete numbers. So if I paid myself my full 100% going rate for everything that I did for that book, to publish it, editing, cover design, printing, even then the initial launch campaign, my book cost me £3,800 to produce, end to end. That's that 300% growth that I mentioned, that works out at roughly £28,000 in additional revenue. So that means in the span of 2 months, return on investment on that book was £24,000. Now, whether you are savvy with numbers or not, that is an amazing return on time and investment. So the time and investment that goes into writing and publishing a book is just sound business strategy. It's not just a tick on a bucket list. So, my name is Sam Pierce, and I help make self-publishing professional. Any questions?